The grand ballroom fell completely silent the moment the wealthy businessman smiled and made what everyone believed was an impossible challenge. He looked at the quiet young woman standing near the back of the room and confidently declared that if she could play the violin, he would marry her. The room instantly erupted with laughter because everyone knew she had spent years working as a humble housekeeper in his mansion. No one had ever seen her touch a musical instrument. The challenge was meant to embarrass her, not honor her. But within minutes, the smiles faded, the laughter disappeared, and tears began filling the eyes of everyone watching. What happened next would change two lives forever and remind everyone that hidden talents often live behind silent sacrifices. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that touch the soul, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another inspiring story. In a quiet neighborhood outside Boston, Massachusetts, lived a wealthy entrepreneur named Christopher. He had built a successful technology company from nothing and was admired for his intelligence, but people often whispered that success had made him proud and emotionally distant. His enormous mansion overlooked a peaceful lake, and although dozens of employees worked there every day, very few ever truly knew him. Among those employees was a gentle woman named Grace. She was known for her kindness, honesty, and quiet determination. Every morning before sunrise, she cleaned the hallways, prepared breakfast, and made sure every room looked perfect before anyone else woke up. Most people assumed her life had always been simple, but they had no idea she carried a heartbreaking past. Years earlier, Grace had dreamed of becoming a professional violinist. She had earned scholarships, performed in youth orchestras, and was praised by respected music teachers across the country. But after her parents were killed in a devastating highway accident, everything changed overnight. She gave up music to care for her younger brother, worked multiple jobs, and slowly packed away the violin that had once been her greatest source of hope. Every sacrifice she made was for someone else's future, never her own. Time passed, dreams faded, and eventually she accepted work as a housekeeper simply to survive. Christopher knew almost nothing about her story. One evening, he hosted an elegant charity gala inside his mansion. Influential guests, business leaders, and community supporters gathered to celebrate donations for local music programs. During the event, someone noticed an old violin displayed in a glass case. Christopher casually mentioned that it had belonged to his late grandmother, who believed music revealed a person's true character. As guests admired the instrument, someone jokingly suggested that anyone claiming to appreciate music should prove it. Looking around the room, Christopher noticed Grace quietly arranging flowers near the stage. Believing the moment would entertain everyone, he boldly announced that if she could actually play the violin, he would marry her. Laughter echoed through the ballroom because everyone assumed the challenge was impossible. Grace stood completely still. Her hands trembled, not from fear but from memories she had buried for years. She slowly walked toward the glass case and gently lifted the violin as though greeting an old friend. The ballroom grew silent. She closed her eyes, took a slow breath, and began to play. The first note floated through the room with breathtaking beauty. Every conversation stopped instantly. The melody carried sorrow, hope, forgiveness, and unimaginable love. It sounded less like a performance and more like a lifetime of emotions finally finding their voice. Guests who had laughed only moments earlier now wiped tears from their faces. Some remembered loved ones they had lost. Others quietly held each other's hands. Christopher himself stood frozen, unable to believe what he was witnessing. Every note shattered the assumptions he had made about the woman he had overlooked every single day. When the final note faded, the room remained silent for several seconds before rising into thunderous applause. Christopher walked toward Grace with tears in his eyes, not because of the challenge he had made, but because he realized how carelessly he had judged another human being. Later that evening, Grace shared the story she had hidden for so many years. She explained how family tragedy had forced her to abandon her musical future, how every sacrifice had been made out of love, and how she had never stopped believing that kindness mattered more than recognition. Christopher spent the following weeks reflecting on everything he had learned. For the first time in years, Business meetings seemed less important than people. He funded scholarships for struggling music students, restored community music schools, and invited Grace to help lead the foundation. Working together, they traveled across the United States, encouraging young musicians who believed poverty or heartbreak had stolen their dreams. Grace's story inspired thousands because she never allowed bitterness to replace compassion. As their friendship deepened, Christopher realized the promise he had made as a joke had transformed into something sincere. This time there was no audience, no laughter, and no challenge. He simply thanked Grace for teaching him humility and asked whether she would consider building a future with him. Grace accepted not because he was wealthy, but because he had become a man willing to change, listen, and value people for who they truly were. If this story touched your heart, please support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, sharing it with your family and friends, and letting others discover stories that remind us hope is never truly lost. Special comment request. Comment below with hidden talents deserve a chance if you believe every person deserves to be seen beyond appearances. Christopher and Grace were married beside the same peaceful lake where the mansion stood, surrounded not by luxury alone but by students whose lives had been transformed through music and generosity. As Grace played her violin one final time before the ceremony, everyone present understood a timeless truth. The greatest treasures are often hidden behind ordinary faces, and one act of kindness, one second chance, and one moment of believing in another person can change an entire lifetime forever.